Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for this video, me and Stacy have some exciting news. We are actually starting our own reading challenge in 2023 called the Drummer Discord 2023 Reading Challenge.
So the idea for this came about because I usually do the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge every year, but this year's Pop Sugar theme is like blast from the past or nostalgia or something. And so basically what they've done is redone a lot of prompts from previous years. And I'm like, oh, I've already done these prompts. Some of them were hard to find things for in the first place, or I ended up reading things I didn't love. So I just was like, ugh, I don't think I want to do it this year. And Jake said, well, hey, why don't we make our own? And then a few of you on the Discord said you'd also love one from us. So we decided, hey, what the heck, let's make our own.
Yeah, it sounded like a fun idea.
Yeah, so here we are. So the idea is the challenge will have 52 prompts. And we're personally not going to double up on anything, I don't think. We're going to do one book per prompt. But if you're doing it, it's your challenge. You can do whatever you like. And basically, I think we're just going to go over the prompts, what they are, and what we would possibly read for them.
Yeah, we're going to give examples for all of them.
Yes, and hopefully explain anything that might be a little confusing.
All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So prompt number 1 is a book recommended by a booktuber with less than 1,000 subscribers. Pretty self-explanatory. And the book that I'm going to go with is Priest of Bones by Peter McLean. And this was recommended to me and a lot of people by Boiled Jellyfish, who is under 1,000 subscribers. So, yeah.
The second prompt is a book you bought from an indie bookstore or from Libro FM, which supports indie bookstores. It's an audiobook service if you didn't know. And for this, I'm going to go with Aching God, the first Iconoclast book by Mike Shell. And I purchased this copy, or one of us did, from Paperbacks Inc., which is Jake's local used indie bookstore.
And prompt number 3 is a book by an author who writes in multiple genres. And one of my new favorite authors is Adrian Tchaikovsky, who writes in sci-fi and fantasy. So a book that I could read for this is The Doors of Eden.
Prompt 4 is a book with a musical word in the title. And for this, I chose The Seventh Cadence by Jim Wilburn.
And prompt number 5 is a book with a musical element on the cover. And for this one, I'm going with Are You Experienced by Jordan Sonnenblick. And there is a guitar on the cover, so that would work.
Prompt 6 is a book with a first line or first paragraph that intrigues you. And for this, I've chosen Winds of Strife by U.G. Gutman. And should I share with the class the first line?
As long as we're not getting tested.
Oh no. Hang on, I gotta find it. The plan had collapsed. Adrian was compelled to admit it when a clamoring mob gathered outside her cabin.
Nice.
So things are going very wrong for Adrian. And I want to know why.
And prompt number 7 is a book by a self-pub or indie author that you haven't read from before. And for this one, I can go with In the Hills Above the Gristmill, which is by Calvin Ellis.
Prompt 8 is a book by one of your favorite self-pub or indie authors. And for this, I will go for Dark Harmony by Laura Thalassa. So this is book 3 in the Bargainer series. And I've definitely really been enjoying the other entries in the series. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So the next prompt I don't have a book for, and that is because it is a book you saw in someone's favorite books or surprising books of 2022 video. And obviously not a lot of those are out yet, so I don't have a book for that.
Yeah, it's still early December as we're filming this. And prompt 10 is kind of the opposite of that. A book you saw in someone's least favorites or most disappointing books of 2022 video.
And then same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I don't have a book picked yet because the videos aren't out yet. But I'm definitely curious to see what I can find.
And prompt number 11 is to read a book towards a reading goal that you set yourself for the year. And one of my goals for 2023 is to finish out some series before I have to actually reread them, which is a real problem for me. So the book that I have for an example would be Lockland by Rupert Jackson Bennett. I want to read it, finish the trilogy before I have to go back and reread the first two.
I'm looking forward to it too. Prompt number 12 is a book you think your best friend would really enjoy. And for this, I'll use Drummer as an example. And I will pick The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins.
Nice.
You think you would enjoy that?
I think so.
Well, that's good.
And for the next 3 prompts, 13, 14, and 15, you'd have to read a novel, a novella, and a short story or a graphic novel, all by the same author. And the example that I'm going to go with is Stephen Graham Jones, and a novel that I'm very excited about that comes out next year is Don't Fear the Reaper, which is the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw. So that would be my novel. And then for a novella, I could go with something like Sterling City. And then for short stories, I could go for anything in one of his various short story collections, such as Zombie Sharks with Metal Teeth. Other examples of authors that have novels, novellas, and short stories would be some of my all-time favorites, George R.R. Martin, Stephen King, Ray Bradbury. So there's a lot of authors that write all 3 of those. So,
Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson, of course.
Prompt number 16 is to read a book that continues a series that you started in 2022. Or if you've started and read all the series you did in 2022, then a series you started before that. And so I think I'm going to go with The High King's Tomb, which is the 3rd book in the Green Rider series. And I started that originally in February of 2022. So I need to get on it.
Nice. And prompt number 17 is a book for a prompt that you like from a readathon that you don't have time to participate in. So basically anything that comes out in 2023, any readathon that you don't really have time to participate in, you could choose one of those prompts and include it for this prompt in this reading challenge. So something, or an example could be the Past and Future Readathon,
which is in January of 2023.
Mm-hmm. And a prompt that I like from it is a book with a protagonist that is older than you are. And I don't have too many books like that, but some series that I do like to read in are some Agatha Christie series like Miss Marple. So I could always read a Miss Marple or Hercule Poirot. So something like that.
Prompt number 18 is to read a book that has an image inside another image on the cover. So a good example of this, of something I might want to read, would be The Swordsman's Lament.
Pretty cool cover.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. I'm looking forward to it. And I've heard really good things from a couple of booktubers, so I'm curious.
And prompt number 19 is to read a book you've seen an adaptation for but haven't read the book yet. And for this one, it's just an example. I'm not 100% sure if I'm actually going to read it or not, but it's a good example nonetheless. And that would be The Lost World by Michael Crichton, which is actually the sequel to Jurassic Park. I've seen the movie, and I've seen, obviously, Jurassic Park and read Jurassic Park, but I've never read The Lost World. So if I were to read that, that would count for the prompt.
Yeah, maybe it's your year to finally read it. Prompt number 20 is to read a book with an unconventionally designed or a unique looking spine. And for this, I've chosen My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing, and I'll show you guys the spine. It actually has like a knife on it with her face in it. So I thought that was pretty unique looking.
And for prompt number 21, it's to read an author's second published book. Now, when we do reading challenges or when we look at reading challenges, we often see people doing debut novels or like newest releases, but we thought it would be an interesting idea to do someone's second published novel just to see an author's improvement level. And for this one, I'm going to go with one of my all-time favorite authors, which is Taylor Jenkins Reid, and her second published book is After I Do, and I have not read it yet, so that'll be a lot of fun to see her older writing, but not her oldest writing.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience for me to go back to her first published book a couple months ago. Prompt number 22 is to read a book with something you dislike on the cover. So maybe a book you're interested in, but the cover, there's just something about it that irks you. It makes you not want to pick it up. So for me, I'm going to use A Cavern of Black Ice by J.V. Jones. And I don't know if you can tell, I'll come closer, but there's this fake sticker looking graphic that has the series name in it. Like, why couldn't they just make the series name a subtitle or just like something, not a fake sticker?
Oh boy, you do not like fake stickers.
Well, I'm fine with them sometimes, but not like this one. There's just no reason for it. Like, it's not even advertising anything. It's just the series name. Like, why?
And prompt number 23 is to read a book that's been translated into English. One of my favorite authors of all time is Haruki Murakami, and all of his stuff is in Japanese, and then it's translated into English. I know you don't like him.
Just magical realism.
Yeah, but I love him. And I'm going to go with Kafka on the Shore because I hear this is just one of his all-time bests, and I still have not read it, so that is my option.
Prompt number 24 is to read a book featuring a female assassin or warrior. And for this, I'm going to go with Grave Mercy. It's His Fair Assassin series by Robin Lefevers.
And prompt number 25 is to read a book by an author that you have a sort of love-hate relationship with, or you've had mixed experiences with. So maybe an author that you've read books that you love from them, and then you've read books that you hate from them, or just you love aspects about their writing, but then you don't like some other stuff. Perfect example for me would be Steven Erikson, Malazan. So there's aspects of this series that I love, but then there's stuff that I don't love, like how all the books are super chunky, but I'm gonna give it a shot regardless.
So prompt 26 is to read a book narrated by one of your favorite audiobook narrators, or a narrator that's been recommended to you. And if you're not an audiobook reader, you could just read a physical book that's been kind of like recommended to you as an audiobook. And of course, one of my all-time favorite narrators is Tim Gerard Reynolds. Red Rising!
Michael J. Sullivan's books.
Yes, and so many other great ones. But I think I'm going to read The Liar's Key, which is the second book in the Red Queen's War series by Mark Lawrence.
And for prompt number 27, it's to read a book that you don't know that much about. And this can either be like a cover by, or like a new book by an author that you like, or a blind date with a book scenario. And the book that I have that I bought, I think, at Barely Used Books, is Brother by Anaya Alborn. It's a horror book, and I know nothing about it, so I could count it for this prompt.
So prompt 28 is to read a book with under 1,000 Goodreads or Storygraph ratings. And for this, I would like to read The Dark Trials by T. James Kelly, and I think it only has about 8 ratings on Goodreads. But it has an average 5-star rating, so the people who have read it have really loved it. And I've also heard really good things about it from Andrew over at Andrew's Wizardly Reads. So, like, why are we all sleeping on this book? I don't know, but I'm going to read it and find out.
Maybe we'll both read it and get the ratings to double digits.
That'd be nice.
And for prompt number 29, we're actually going to go with the opposite of that one. We're going to go with a book over 100,000 ratings on Goodreads or Storygraph. And you'll be excited for this book. And that'll be Final Girls by Riley Sager, which has well over 100,000. So
yes, I am excited for you to read that one. I really liked it. It's not a typical favorite of people who like Riley Sager, but I'm excited to see what you think. So prompt 30 is to read a book published in a year that ends with 3. So you could go for 2023, 2013, 2003, 1993. You get the idea, I'm sure. And for this, I'm super excited for something that's releasing in 2023. And that will be Lightbringer, which is the 6th Red Rising book by Pierce Brown.
And for prompt number 31, we're going to go with a book written by an author who has at least one initial in their pen name. And there's a lot of them. There's like George R.R. Martin, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Well, it's also a common thing for female authors writing fantasy, because back in the day, publishers didn't want it to be apparent that it was a female author since it was such a male-dominated genre. So you've got tons of other authors that fit in this category too, like J.V. Jones, for example.
J.K. Rowling.
Mm-hmm.
So an example for me, and definitely a book that I'm excited to get to next year, would be An End to Sorrow by Michael R. Fletcher. So the R makes it count.
So prompt number 32 is to read a book by one of your most read authors. And for me, this has got to be Jim Butcher, since I'm basically caught up on the Dresden Files. The only Dresden book I have yet to read would be Briefcases, which is a short story collection.
And for prompt number 33, we're going to go with read any Discord group read book.
Is a book a little hard to say there, dear?
Just start it over.
No, we got to keep that in.
And for this prompt, you don't have to necessarily read anything on our Discord. It can be on any Discord, but for our example, my example, I'm going to go with A Veil of Spears by Bradley P. Bulio. And of course, on our Discord, we're doing the Shattered Sands read-along, and we're going to read this in January.
I'm excited to get to it too. I really enjoyed the first book. So prompt number 34 is to read the shortest book on your TBR. And I think for me, this is going to be a graphic novel, and it's going to be Giant Days Volume 6.
And for prompt number 35, it's the opposite, and that'll be the longest book on my TBR, which, holy crap, is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. It's like 1,100 pages. I think the audio is like 55 hours, so it's a chunker.
Are you sure it's not Count of Monte Cristo?
No, it's definitely this one.
Okay.
I don't think I have the unabridged version.
Yes, you do. I saw it on your classic shelf yesterday.
I think that's the abridged version.
It's this thick.
Well, I'm going to go with this.
Okay. And blame Pete if it goes wrong.
I'll blame you, Pete. You said it was good, so... Nah.
So prompt number 36 is to roll a 6-sided die or use a random number generator if you don't have one handy. And basically, whatever number it lands on, you have to read a book with that many hundreds of pages. So for example, if you rolled a 2, you'd have to read something between 200 and 299 pages. Or if you rolled a 5, you'd have to read something between 500 and 599 pages. You get the idea. And for this, I'm going to generate, so I'll put it to where you can see it. And I got a 5, which would be 500 to 599 pages. And I think for this, I'd probably read Babel by R.F. Kuang.
I'm excited for that one.
Me too. It's sitting on my shelf at home.
And for prompt number 37, it is a book your friends or subscribers loved and have recommended to you. And a few of my friends and subscribers have recommended Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse to me. They said that I think I would like it, and I'm also very excited to read it.
Just make sure you have the sequel on hand, because you're going to want to jump right into it after the end of that one.
Oh boy.
So prompt number 38 is to read a book that was gifted to you in 2022, or if you've read all of those, then something that was gifted to you in 2023. But I, on the other hand, am slacking a little bit and haven't caught up. So I think I will pick The Warded Man by Peter B. Brett, and this was actually part of my birthday gift from Jake.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And for prompt number 39, I'm going to go with a book with a faceless person on the cover. And this might seem like a weird prompt, but if you look at a lot of covers, there are people that are like either turned around the other way or their face is in shadow. And so there are a lot of options. And I'm going to go with The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. And you can't really see this guy's face, so I would consider this a faceless person.
I'm excited to reread it with you when you read it.
Nice.
I need to finish the series for sure. Prompt number 40 is to read a book from a series that has some kind of formatting to the titles or like some kind of pattern. So an example of this could be anything from like the Greenbone Saga, which would be like Jade War, Jade City, Jade Legacy. I did that in the wrong order, but you get the idea. And another way you could look at this would be something from the Dresden Files, which most of the titles have 2 words, and both words in each title has the same amount of letters. So you've got like Stormfront, which is 5 letters each word, and then Full Moon, which is 4 and 4, right? So some kind of book from one of those types of series. Another example could be something from A Song of Ice and Fire, because all of the books are a blank. You know, some kind of title formatting. You get it. So for this, you're going to be excited about this. I'm probably going to be reading Age of Myth, which is the first book in the Legends of the First Empire, and all of the books in the series are Age of something. And Tim Gerard Reynolds narrates this, so of course I'm very excited for that reason.
And for prompt number 41, we're going to go with a book on your TBR that has the highest rating on Goodreads or Storygraph. And for this one, I'm going to go with Trevor Noah's Born a Crime, which has like a ridiculously high rating of like 4.4, 4.5, whatever. And I'm very excited to listen to this. I have the audio for it, and I might immersion read it. I might just listen to it, but either way, it's my highest rated book that I have left.
I've heard good things about it too. And prompt 42, of course, is the opposite of that. To read the book on your TBR with the lowest average rating on Goodreads or Storygraph. And for me, this would be Wonderland by Zoe Stage. What, are you mad at this prompt or what?
I'm mad at the book. That should not be the lowest rated. It's a great book. I love it.
I think it's like a 3.0 something. It's pretty low, but hopefully I love it.
5 stars all the way. And for prompt number 43, we're going to go with a book from a series with either different colored spines or different colored font on the spines. And for this one, I've already read Jade City, but I could read Jade War, which is the same color, but definitely different colored font. You got green and red, so definitely excited to read Jade War next year.
Yeah, I need to get there too. I've still only read the first one. So prompts 44 through 46 are to read a whole trilogy, and ideally the same trilogy. Like, not the third book in one trilogy and the first two in other one. Like, no, the same trilogy.
You got to read a whole trilogy.
A whole one. Yes. And for this is one I've been majorly slacking on, and people are going to be like, you haven't read that yet? Yeah. I need to reread the first Mistborn Era 1, Final Empire, so that I can get around to Well of Ascension and Hero of Ages.
A whole trilogy.
I think they get it, babe.
And for prompt number 47, we have a book you bought or added to your TBR just because you loved a different book by that same author. And of course, earlier in this video, I mentioned my love for Stephen Graham Jones. I started with The Only Good Indians and loved that. And ever since, I've been buying his back catalog. And one of them that I could read that I still really want to read is The Ones That Got Away, which is one of his short story collections.
Prompt 48 is one of our favorite tropes in fantasy. It's read a book with an island or islands setting. And for this, I still need to read The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart.
One of my all-time favorites.
And it's definitely set on some islands. I mean, the series title is The Drowning Empire. Are you pulling out the map?
I'm pulling out the map. Look
Oh,
at that. Oh, yeah. And the book for prompt 49 also has islands, but that's not why I'm reading it. The prompt is a popular author's book that's overshadowed by their magnum opus. And of course, you guys know that my favorite author of all time is George R.R. Martin. Georgie boy. That's what I like to call him. And so obviously A Song of Ice and Fire is his magnum opus. People love that, but they don't really know a lot of his older stuff. But I love his older stuff, and one novel that I really want to get to is Windhaven, which is actually a standalone fantasy that he wrote with Lisa Tuttle. So I'm very excited for that.
So another good example for this prompt could be like any Sanderson that's not Cosmere.
And there's also Andrei Sapkowski books that aren't in the Witcher series.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys get the idea. So prompt number 50 is to read a book about a character with terrible luck. And if you've read the Dresden Files, you know Harry Dresden has some pretty terrible luck. So
Oh boy.
pending that this actually comes out in 2023, I would really like to read 12 Months, which is the new installment in the Dresden Files.
Which does not currently have a cover.
No, it does not currently have a cover. So why am I pointing? I don't know. I'm hoping it gets a cover.
And prompt number 51 is to read a book that is the last in a 4 or more book series.
I have problems with finishing series, so I need this prompt in my life.
Yes, and an example is definitely the last book in a series that I know for sure I'm going to be reading. It's the last book in the Song of Shattered Sand series, which of course we're doing our read-along for. And that would be A Desert Torn Asunder, which is book 6. Very excited to finally conclude one of my favorite fantasy series.
And the last prompt, the final one, number 52, is for a book that you tried to read for this challenge, but DNF'd. Or, if you're a completionist type, a book that you just wish you could have just let yourself DNF. I thought this was going to be a fun prompt because usually when I do reading challenges, I end up with something that I'm not quite sure about, and then I go into it and I'm like, oh, I want to DNF this, but there's only like 100 pages left, and then I'd have to find something else for the prompt, so I'll just push through it. But having this built in is a good way for me to not force myself through bad books and possibly into reading slumps, so I really wanted it here.
I feel like people are going to love this prompt for exactly what you said.
It'll be interesting to see what you guys think about it. And obviously I don't have a book picked out for it. It's just going to be one of those on the fly things.
Because I definitely have that same situation where you're reading a book, you're like halfway through, like, I don't want to finish this, but it's for a reading challenge, so I must. But for this one, you don't have to.
Yes.
All right, so those are all of the 52 prompts for the Drummer Discord 2023 reading challenge. What do you guys think of the prompts? And definitely let us know if you're excited to join us next year for the reading challenge.
And we've made a channel on the Discord where we can post the list of all the prompts and also discuss them or give each other ideas for all the prompts. It should be a fun time.
Yes. And of course, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and the Bookish Drummer Discord where all of this is taking place. And go sign up for Patreon if you want to. And I also have my Amazon wish list if you'd like to buy me a book. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a fantastic day.
See ya.
Oh boy.
That's only half the TBR. You only gave examples for half the prompts.
Oh boy. So
All right.
And for prompt number 19, you have to read a book. Whoops. And prompt number 20, run. And for that. And for prompt. God damn it. Oh, now you're not going to cut me off?
No, because
Oh,
you
wow.
complained last time.
Okay. And for prompt number 33, we're going to go with read any group crap. And for prompt number 33, we're going to go with read any Discord. Son of a... Oh, you started?
Yeah. Well, you have the book. It looks like you were ready. Prompt 42 is the opposite, of course. Read your lowest rated. No, I don't like that. And the last prompt, the final one, 52, is to read a book. Yes, and we've made a channel on your Discord. Well, we'll...